Hey yo, it's your boy Mtuduzi. I gotta watch how I sit because the camera's in a position where it can just fall. But yeah, I just wanna come speak to y'all. Obviously, it's another YouTube video. Today is the 23rd of March. It's a Sunday, right? It's now currently almost 25 past 5 p.m. But yeah, I just wanna switch the camera on and talk about how life is a reflection. And I'm shooting with the front camera, that's why you will see me looking somewhere else. But life is a mirror, which, you know, the best thing I did for me is become a realist, if I can put it like that. But yeah, the harsh truth is life is a mirror. I was just looking at my life. And yeah, this video, I don't want to really look at y'all, man. I'm really looking down most of the time. But yeah, just listen to the words. Yeah, I've just been looking at my life and honestly saying life is a mirror. Like, there's no other way around it. Um, so let's start here. Firstly, I used to be like not suicidal because I feel like until you have the guts to attempt suicide, you're not suicidal. But in my past, I had a lot of suicide thoughts. I guess I wanted the easy way out, right? Then started watching a lot of Andrew Tate. And I told myself, you know what, I'm going to adopt his mindset that, you know what, I'm never going to kill myself. Yeah, I say all that to say, I don't even know why I said that. But anyways, to move on, it's I don't believe in crying. I'm a man. I don't believe it's healthy for men to cry. I was talking to Lihle, she's another sister, and she was saying, yeah, you should just let it all out, you'll feel good. And I was basically explaining to her that it doesn't feel good crying, it feels like you're weak, right? So I'm someone who hasn't cried in years, if I'm not wrong. The last time I remember crying is when I got my first paycheck ever, right? Which was a big thing, man. I dropped tears because for the longest part, I don't know if I talk about that in another video, but for the longest part, I felt not worthy because I wasn't making my own money. I still live at home. So they were giving me an allowance. And I felt like another homie was also, he always talked about he never had an allowance. He had to go work for it. So I felt like that he was throwing shade low key, which I didn't mind because, life is set out in ways where it can seem unfair. But yeah, like, I won't lie, that was a big thing. It made me feel not deserving until I worked and I got my first paycheck. That's when I really dropped a tear, man. Anyways, I say all that to fast forward to today, right? That was September 2023, I think around the 31st, no, the 25th, if I'm not wrong. It's been almost 2 years. And, the sad thing is life is a mirror. And I say that because, I relapsed. I won't even lie. I went back to master. You know what I'm saying? I was lacking. Masturbated this long weekend. And it just got me thinking, like, despite the issue, there's so many issues in my life that I haven't fixed. And life is just exactly a mirror of that. Wes Watson, shout out to him. One of the things he said was, I can tell, he was just doing a whole lot of talking, but he specifically said, I can tell that you have negative self-talk towards yourself. And he was explaining a situation when he was talking to someone. Then that person was like, how do you know? He's like, because look at your life. If you didn't, your life would be different. And also with me, let's start it off. I'm 25, I'm turning 26 this year, right? I'm still living at home. The reality is I'm blessed, beyond, I'm always thankful to have a home. But the reality is I haven't put enough effort to move out of home. The situation here at home it's bad. Like, not in terms of a lack of money, just the we separated. Everyone is against each other, except for maybe I'd say like we exclude the because I've got my two nieces who stay with me. Excluding them, like we're all against each other. It's everyone for themselves. Like no one really cares. And like I'm blessed to be at home. There's a lot of things being at home I can get that I don't have the money to provide myself with. But like in honestly speaking, I always feel this, I feel like a lack of, what can I say, being at home, it kind of does downplay my confidence, especially with girls, because we are shamed as men, especially at my age. I should have been moved out already, you feel me? Except for if I'm really wealthy, then they understand. If I'm born into a wealthy family, it's understandable to stay at home. But you know what? I don't let it take confidence away from me. But the reality is, I haven't put enough effort to change, to look for a job. I'm currently working, but I work part time, right? So I could have looked for a job, a second job. I could have, there's a YouTube video, right? Andrew Tate runs Hustlers University, and someone had dropped his basically the course, right, on how to make money online. And I still haven't checked it out, but it's like I haven't put enough effort into moving out, and that's a reflection of me, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and that's the hard part I have to face. It's like every time, I created a to do, not a to do list, but basically, what do you call it? I'm tracking my goals. I have daily goals, right? So on my laptop, I'm tracking them, and one of them is find a job, right? Uh, I know that's not the first the what can I say? It's not the I'm looking for money, but I'm going about it through a job, which is not the most efficient. Won't make me the most money, but that's what I want to do. And like every time I don't tick off me applying for a job, and it's hard here at home. I have another hard day. It just hits more because it's like I'm the problem. It has nothing to do. Yes, the situation is bad, but I'm the one who doesn't want to move out, honestly. Otherwise, I would have been moved out, right? So, yeah, like life is a mirror, and that's self accountability. I'm someone who vouches for self accountability, but like the amount of self accountability you have to go through is shocking. And, I'm going to speak a lot about myself and my downfalls. But, like, even though I'm gonna speak down on myself, I'm at a point in life where I look around, I'm still like one of the best to do it, right? Comparing myself to people. And I'm thinking like if I'm here, people are really failing, and that's true, we are failures. Let's not try downplay it. We out here failing, right? And it's your own fault that you're failing. I'm gonna move on from being at home. It's strictly me. I'm just too comfortable. Yes, I really don't wanna stay at home, but I'm not pushing myself. So that self accountability hits because it's my fault, you feel me? Moving on, what really got me, like yesterday after I had relapsed, I relapsed a couple of times, but before I decided, okay, you know what, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna again embark on this journey of semen retention, because you know it's a battle, it's a lifelong battle, how I see it. But like, yeah, after I had stopped, you know, like I was just thinking, I went to go bath, and I was just thinking, like, I was taking a look at all my relationships, and I really don't have relationships. You feel me, like, and again, it's my fault. And I'm gonna speak on a couple relationships. But yeah, like what made me also realize, shout out to Faded, you feel me? You know, even though we have our differences, we're not close the way I see it. You know, one thing I like about Faded is he's always shown love, and he's always been real, and he's a very emotional person in a good way, right? So if something is hurting him, he'll talk about it. And yeah, what had happened was we were going to one of the homies after parties, right? Chiller, the brother Chiller, right? He had a cousin that passed away, R.I.P. to Nkanyezi. And me and Zayn, because Chiller, he used to stay in the same complex, he doesn't no more. He had told us, okay, meet me here by the after tears, right? There's an after tears. We had went to the funeral that day, and Chilla was just basically saying there's an after tears. So then, because I'm in the same complex with Zayn, I went with Zayn, right, in his car. So the car broke down on the way there. And with my mentality, right, I was like, you know what? Since it broke down, he was talking about heading back to the mechanic. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let him go back to the mechanic, and me, I'm just gonna, because there was puppuccinos on the way. I was like, you know what, Faded, drop me off here, and I'm gonna request back. And what ended up happening is he dropped me back at home, but he was angry about it. He's like, Six, why didn't you stay with me? You know, like when I was down, like how could you jump off? Like he saw it as an act of betrayal in a way. And you know, this segues into, there's another client, right? Since I'm a receptionist, medical receptionist, there's a brother. What he does is sales rep for, I think, different medical companies or a certain medical company, right? And yeah, we got to talking because he had came to see Doc, you feel me? And Doc wasn't there that day, and Doc is who I work for. He's the doctor I work for. Yeah, so Doc wasn't there that day. So we were just talking about, you know, he kind of chilled it out, you feel me? And we were talking, and he was talking about how, you know what, he was with his girl, and he remembers a time, because, you know, I'm not big into soccer, right? But he was like, yeah, he was like, you know, I stick with my team even if they're losing. There was a time when his girl was like to him, why don't you switch barbers? Because your barber's flopping you, no cap. And he was just like, I'm not that guy. And that, I was surprised. I'm not surprised at the loyalty, right? Because as a man, I go through the same thing. Yes, I don't watch soccer, I don't have a team, but I understand the barber loyalty. But for me, I don't choose to be loyal. Like, if a barber's flopping me, I dip. That's what I always do. Like, I'll stick with you if you don't cut my hair properly. You know, I always don't develop friendships with barbers to that point. But like, I'll just dip and never come back. 1 minute you see me, 1 minute you don't. And for me, that's never, you know, like, bothered me, right? I remember the last time, because I used to braid my hair. I remember before I had left a certain salon because where I had found the price was cheaper. You know, I gave all the ladies chocolates. And even though it was a noble gesture, it kind of felt like, like he's leaving, this guy. But anyways, I still, left. But yeah, like what Zayn was saying, with, you know what I'm saying, like, come on, you left me when I was down, like, 6, I thought you were a real one. And also, on the way back, right after the car had started tripping, we were like halfway there, going to the after tears. So we turned back to go to the mechanic. And yeah, what had happened was he dropped me here at home. Then he went to the mechanic. Then he's like, you know what? The car is fixed. Let's go again. So I didn't expect that, right? Anyways, he came back to fetch me and he was just asking me, like, who are you actually close with? Who's your real friends? And, I was like, damn, Vlad, like, what's going on? And he was just like, nah, I just want to know you better. And I don't blame him, right? Like, when I look at my life now, like, I ask myself, who are my real friends? Who are you close with? And it's no one, like, my relationships failing me, my friendships is a reflection of me. So I say that to say, like, there's a homie, I'll leave his name out, but like, our relationship is shaky, right? And I'd like to blame him, right? There's a lot of things he did, but then again, I blame myself because it's all on me. One of the things he's done, right? And he's probably not gonna watch this, but after this video, because I'm determined to get my life right, I'm definitely gonna talk to everyone, right? And just be straight about everything, because I want my life to progress. But yeah, like, me and the homie, you've been out quite some times. The first time we went out, because I don't have a car, right? He does. He has said, okay, I'm gonna fetch you. He took almost 5 to 6 hours to fetch us because we're going as a group, right? But like, his excuse was he had went to the barber and the barber was full. He ended up having to wait. He got there late. But it was not so much about being late, even though like what he did was atrocious, you feel me? And not that I judge him, but like, he never called to be like, oh geez, this is what's happening. We were the ones calling him on, like, what's going on? And that's a reflection on me, because I should have set a standard, be like, you know what, hello. So one of the kids here, one of the neighbors, but yeah, like, I was greeting, but yeah, like, I should have set the standard, like, you know what, BP, yeah, I'm gonna talk about BP. I'm like, BP's disrespecting us, because I was with a couple of the brothers. He was fetching us. I should have been like, you know what, BP's disrespecting us. He's not coming with us. He's not showing a level of respect, right? So I should have confronted it there and then, that situation. But you know what, I let it slide and he fetched us late. His answer, his reasoning wasn't justifiable, right? And it just made me feel like, because he has the car, he calls we need him, right? Like, I kind of understood that power dynamic. Second time around we go out, this is what hurt me, right? And he had said were going out, let's just say 11 o'clock. So I take long to prepare, right? Right now, I'm currently doing 2.5 hours just to bath, to, lotion my body, just to be aight. 2.5 hours to prepare. I take long. I know about myself, right? So he had said we're going at 11. What I did was I woke up. I normally wake up. I like to wake up early, like just me, I'm the part of the 3 a.m. club. But because it was Saturday, right? I woke up maybe 6 o'clock, if I'm not wrong. And I decided to bath early because I knew I'm going to take time to prepare. Thing is, though, my sisters were also going somewhere. So when I had started running the bath water, they were like, "Not Mtuduzi, let me bath because we know you take long, right?" So I was like, "No, I took the opportunity to bath first, and I'm gonna bath because I don't want to miss out on, because I had decided to bath early because I knew I was gonna prepare and everything. So I was like, no, I'm not gonna let you guys bath, even though you're going somewhere. I decided to bath early. I'm gonna bath. So you know what? I forced and I bathed, and like always in this house, what we have is always when I'm in the bath and they want me to come out there, they shout not insults, but basically they're out here like, when you gonna get out? Instead of, just politely, please get out. But when are you gonna get out? You've been in there hours. You know what I'm saying? Just provoking me. So, anyways, I bath, I get out, frustrated. But I'm like, it is how it is in this house. I know what it comes with. I'm ready by 11. BP, there's no sign of showing, you feel me? So I didn't have airtime, right? I ended up, buying airtime, if I'm not wrong, through the banking app, just to call and be like, "Hey, where you at?" He's like, nah, I'm caught up. I'm a pull up. I swear, like, he pulled up maybe 1 or 2 o'clock, right? From 11. It could have been later than that. But, like, during that time, I felt so, it was all me because I didn't confront him. I didn't confront him. I took my airtime to call him when he should have been calling me. Like, I was disappointed, man, because my sister's bath or whatever, they left. And because me, I had bath, I'm waiting. I was like, what, let me just go back in the bed. The way it was so hurtful, right? He ends up pulling up whatever. We go out. I don't speak about it. Third time around, just recently we went out, right? So when he's still making the plans, and for the longest time I don't want to go out with BP because those instances hurt me, but I never spoke out about them, right? This time, we make plans. I joke it off that don't be late. He's like, nah, it's a new year, I'm a changed man. He still came late and he still didn't apologize. So, I look at myself like, yes, BP, I can, as much as I can blame him, but it's really about me. If I had the self-respect to be like, what, BP, sit him down, be like, what you did was disrespectful. I don't appreciate it. Next time, if you do it, we're not going out. But, because I didn't have the respect and the love for myself. That's what I didn't do, and that's the reason why now our relationship is shaky, you feel me? Because the brother, he also be taking hours to respond, and what do I say? It's like, it's all on me. It's not, has nothing to do with him. Yes. And that's the thing I see, is like, I'm allowing myself to be mistreated. And the way I'm putting it now, it might sound one-sided, right? Like, I am, like, he is the bad person. But not even, I'm just explaining things from my perspective, right? Another thing is, like, for the longest time, before all these incidents I just talked about, from the first time we linked, because he hit me up way, way back, I could just feel like, what, not having a car, we're not equal, right? I suggest a place to go to, but then I also don't want to say, hey, are you going to pick me up, because I feel like a burden. So these things which I have allowed and I have kept in, have allowed my relationships and friendships to fail. You know, I look at Rita, right? And I don't want to associate this behavior with Rita specifically because I feel like all women, I am generalizing in general, you feel me? I like this, but I'm the one also who didn't set a standard. I feel like I'm the one who didn't understand, right? I'm the one who I kept it as real as possible, but it was essentially my fault, right? You know, one thing I just want to speak about this here, right? There's a reason I'll never speak to Rita again. And I've forgiven her. There's a lot of things that happened during this time, whatever. I hold nothing against her, you feel me? But one thing she said was, and you can't take words back, is she said, I had asked her, like, yeah, you know what, I was just trying to, or I was saying, I was just trying to be your friend, purely, blah, 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 blah. This time I was trying to find the reason why, she pulled back or whatever. And she was like, you know what, I feel like you're being forceful. And these words, they hit deep because I was like, never was I forceful. But then again, I can't dispute how she feels, right? So when I look at it, like, in future, even though I've forgiven her, I can never be friends with her again because naturally I'm a loving person, I'm a giving person. And if my energy towards her was forceful, I guess we never meant to be friends, right? But yeah, it's like, at the end of the day, it's all my fault, right? It's my fault for not seeing the signs that, Duduzi, you pushing too hard, which I didn't feel like I was. But then again, I have to look at it as like, it is on me, right? I have to take self accountability because if I put everything on her, and even if she did a lot of wrong, I don't grow from the situation. It's all on me. And yeah, maybe I was supposed to learn from her. But yeah, it's like, it got me thinking, it's like, if everything is on me, life is a mirror. There's a current girl, and I'm like, should I pursue friendship? And I'm lucky because we haven't talked or anything. But like, the best thing is for me to be direct because I can't allow people in my life who, I was going through my tweets, and one of my tweets were, it's up to you not to allow people to come and go as they please in your life. And yeah, for me, that's the same thing. It's like, we'll talk about girls, but even with girls, it's like, it's a reflection of you, how they treat you, right? So, all my failed relationships, like, I look at I'm not close with brothers. Yeah, it's like I will kick it when we see each other. But all of that is because of me. It's because I failed to say something. I failed to set boundaries. Everything is me, and like, it's a harsh thing, but like, it's a good thing that I am taking accountability because moving forward I can change my life. But life is a mirror. I look at all the girls, right, that I've liked. Just girls, when we talk about girls in general, everything is a reflection of me. Women will try you, right? I heard another woman saying, she is like the color, we are like the lines, right? We have to allow her to color in certain lines, but otherwise, if we don't set the parameters, they're just gonna walk all over you, basically. It's all me. It's like, yes, I've done a lot of growing to a point where if a woman plays games, I block you, I'm out. You feel me? But like, it just, it's a hard thing because one thing I've seen is, to have a girlfriend, you have to allow yourself. This is what I'm thinking, right? There's a certain level of allowing yourself to be not respected, and you have to give away a part of your respect. And I say that because of like the chasing of a woman in the beginning, right? Women, like a lot of women, you text, they don't text back. So it's like, do you carry on texting them? And you know, which you can do and eventually build a connection, right? Or do you just, but you know, essentially, you are disrespecting yourself. So it's like, yeah, also your relationships are a reflection of you. Now, you know, FitX Fearless, shout out the brother, man. He was just saying the more he's set boundaries, the more the universe keeps bringing in feminine, keeps bringing him feminine women. And I've also seen like that's the truth. It's like the more women I come across, like if they play games, I block them. What I'm doing is I'm setting a boundary that any woman that comes in my life, she knows how to act. Otherwise, I'm gone. You feel me? A lot of the women back then, what I did is I allowed myself to get disrespected. You know, there's a lot of women I like, right, based off their looks. But maybe I'll follow them and they don't like me back, so they won't follow. One thing I'll do is unfollow them. Then some time passes, then I'm like, oh, but this girl is still nice. I follow her. And you know, like after some time, and some of the women, just to put it out there, is Faith, Faith Moyo. Yeah, that's her name. As well as Tema Shubi, right? Just to name drop. But these women are beautiful. But one thing I kept seeing, like what I feel now is like, I still think they're attractive, but you know, I can't stand the humiliation, me disrespecting myself by following them again, knowing that they won't follow me, knowing that they're not interested, right? So I probably could still follow, still, you know, I've never texted them, but like text, blow up their phone. But essentially, they don't like me, and that's the truth. It's like you have to like those who like you. So it's like everything. It's life is a reflection, man. Like currently, I do not have a career. I have a job, right? A job which I can turn into a career, but I don't want to. I want to rap, but I look at, have I been rapping? Yes, I have been writing bars, but I haven't released any music. I haven't made myself known in the game. I haven't dropped music and be like, you know what, I'm here. It's 16. This is me. Get used to me. So how can I be mad? You feel me? But the sad thing is, I look at people around me and like, I feel like I'm doing better than so many people. You know, one good thing about it is like I have invested into clothes. I invest into a haircut. I feel like I'm naturally good looking, so that pretty much I shine because of that. But like the rest is like I feel like I'm doing so much better than people, and where my life is, it's crazy. But like life is a mirror, like with everything. You allow people to disrespect you. What else can I talk about? Just also like friends. It's like it's up to you what you allow, what you don't. But like, yeah, life is such a mirror that it's scary. But at the end of the day, you have to take accountability and you have to fix things, right? Like, so I have four nieces right now. One of them, which is the second oldest, we they don't live with us, but when they come to visit, we normally go to church, right? And There was a period of time where I wasn't waking up early, where I was always late to church. So I remember the other time when, it's her and her sister, my two nieces, right? They from the same mother. They had came over with their mother, and the next day we were going to church, and she comes up to me the night before. She's like, "We're going to church, ne?" I was like, "Yeah, we're going to church." And she's like, "Make sure you wake up early." And I was like, you know what I'm saying? I took a step back. I was like, what? Make sure. But then again, I was like, as much as I felt that was disrespectful, it's a mirror. I'm the one who's been late to a point where she has to affirm that, nah, make sure you wake up early, right? So I can't be mad at her. Andrew Tate said one of the realest lines ever. He was like, women are a reflection of you, basically your value, right? So there's no use in being angry at the mirror. And that's what I see in every situation in life, with my niece's remark, with just people. If people disrespect me, it's a reflection of me that I am not firm enough, or I don't command respect. I look at the way my mom treats me. But then again, I look at my life, like just this past weekend, I had relapsed. I was laying in the bed all day. I'm 26. I'm 25, currently turning 26. I'm still living at home. No girlfriend. So it's like, even though she doesn't know that I don't have a girlfriend, but like she picks up on all the other things, and I feel like she sums it up as, my son's a failure. Even though she hasn't said it, that's the truth. And her behavior towards me is a reflection. And who can I really get mad at, right? Like I was looking at, I haven't had a girlfriend in the longest. And as much as I don't want a girlfriend, but I was like, you know what? It's actually a problem that I've overlooked. Because yes, I say I don't want a girlfriend, but here I am, masturbating. And it doesn't balance, because yes, it's either like, for me, my mindset is rather I go out and sleep with women rather than masturbate, because you're doing the same thing essentially. Other one just has more respect in the world. But yeah, it's like I have to look into all of these things, and I have to be accountable. I'm almost at 40 minutes, so I'm thinking to wrap it up. But like, yeah, it's like everything is a reflection of who you are. I was just thinking about BP. Me saying, better not be late is a reflection. I really don't want to talk about Rita, you feel me? I have nothing against her. But we were meeting for a podcast, and every single time she was late. So at times we would laugh at her for this, right? We would roast her. But even, like, I see it as, it's simple, like, it's because of her we did it. It has nothing to do with us. If she was never late, we wouldn't have, there wasn't even an opportunity of weakness to poke at, right? I look at me and where I currently work. Like, I'm blessed to a point where I should have been fired, but I feel like this job was heaven sent. And also Doc, much appreciation for him. Even though, like, some things they do get to me, which he's done, I'll never hold it against him, because I feel like he's truly God sent. And honestly, it's a reflection of me. I should have been fired the way, like, I've came late so many times. Like, it's not even funny. Like, now it's gotten to a point where, like, if I am late and I send a text like, sorry Doc, I'm late, you went from being like, okay, to sometimes not replying. And can I blame him though? So everything is a reflection on you. And that's why I feel like regret, honestly, in life, it comes from the fact that knowing it was all your fault. I can try blame my parents. Here's another aspect I hadn't talked about. My career. I don't have a career, right? Because I haven't initiated one. I'm not where I want to be because I haven't pursued it. I chose to drop out of college, right? As much as I can be like, you know what, I'm still at home because I didn't finish school, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter because millions of people didn't, and I'll do it twice over dropping out because it's not the way for me, right? But like, I have to take accountability. The reason why I'm not doing better than someone who did go to university, simply because I didn't take accountability. I can't blame it on I didn't go to school or I didn't finish college. That's why my life is hard. No, yes, making that decision took away certain opportunities from me, but I'm the reason why I'm failing in life, nothing else. So, yeah, life it requires so much self accountability, but life is a reflection of you, and I honestly feel like in the end, I always look at my life from not always, but I tend to look at my life from an end perspective as well as a judgment perspective, right? So I know I'm going to be judged by God one day. So I always try to look at my life at a point where it's like, you know what? I take full accountability for all my decisions. I regret things, but then I don't live with regret, right? Because I wanted to do them. So it's like, I always when I look at my life from a point of judgment, the truth is, you know what? There's no other way to lie about it, or you make your decisions are your choices. I've blocked women, I've done things, and I can't be like, no, it was a mistake. It was my choice. But yeah, like, we have to take full accountability. And if we don't, you know what? It's only gonna be on us. Regret, which I don't believe in, right? Like, I don't believe in regret because I take 100% accountability for my actions. Yes, there are things that I regret, but it's not smart living and moving in a state of regret. But everything is my fault. Everything. Everything is my fault. There's things where, don't get me wrong, there's things where I also want to talk about this aspect. I feel like, I had a harsh dad. In terms of, dad was very aggressive in certain things. He was very, I don't care, he's a Zulu man, right? He was a Zulu man, taxi owner. He had that aggression. There's a saying that erenkeni inkani yahlulana. In the rank, it's whoever has, I don't know what inkani is in English, right? But inkani yahlulana, if you can get that translated. Anyways, there's certain things that my dad did, right? Which obviously hurt. But it's like, it's up to me to in how I respond, if I put it like that. And what I mean by that is, it's up to me how I go about things, how I look at things. One of the things is, I feel like this memory is on my mind, so I'm gonna talk about it. But yeah, like, we had went to my sister's baby's funeral, right? She lost her child. We had went to bury the child, and I was there, and I I'd say young, but teenager, right? And you know what I'm saying, were there, and it was time to, you know, throw the, because the baby, I think, yeah, my nephew, right? He was alive for maybe a day, I think, if I'm not wrong. One day, then he had passed away, complications, whatever. But yeah, so a baby was obviously, he was very small. It was a small grave. So it was time to throw in the, what is it? The sand, basically, into the grave, right? So they were taking turns. It was my uncle and my dad. And I was also there as a guy, right? So first my uncle came, he threw in dirt. Then my dad went and he's like, come, Tutuzi, come, you throw in. I went, I threw in. I was throwing in, I was trying my hardest. Then he just took over. You know, he started throwing in my dad, kind of like I wasn't doing a good job. And I remember I had went that day, and also like I feel like why I had cried, it coupled in with, like, as I said, my uncle was there with my aunt, right? Even though we weren't close, what had happened was, let me quickly just do this, because my uncle was there with my aunt. We weren't close, but like I remember I had tried to greet my aunt and she didn't even acknowledge me, like, for some reason. So it's like that coupled with my dad being mean to me, which I felt like he was being mean, but that was just my dad, you know what I'm saying, as a person. I won't go into all the things he said or he did, because I'm not looking for sympathy, because the moral of the story is how you react to it, right? So I went home, I remember I cried. But you know, looking back at it now, it's like, yes, my dad did all he did. He may have hurt my feelings. He may have a certain view of him, even though I've forgiven him, because no matter what, I can't go back in time. I won't hold the grudge. But yeah, like, moral of the story is I choose how to go about my life. I could look at things as say, you know what, my dad was this kind of person. That's why you know, I'm not doing good, or my dad was this. But the truth is, it doesn't matter, you know. Life is binary, you win or lose. There's many different situations people are in. People just don't care. I could try to explain to people that, no, you know, with me, 1, 2, 3, people don't care. Especially like with girls, it's like, are you a winner or are you not? Do we want you or we don't want you? There's no if, and, or but around it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, no matter what, it's your choice. Life is a mirror, to the point where even if you didn't create the circumstances, how you react is your choice, right? Or you made actions, and the actions have caused the life you are living. You know, I just want to talk about this quickly. There's a girl I often talk about, and because I didn't want her, one of the reasons I didn't want her is because she had a child. It wasn't the main reason, right? Let me just, I feel like I'm wasting energy, but anyways, so I can finish the story. One of the reasons is she had a child, and I had expressed this reason to her, like, you know, yeah, because you have a child, I don't want you. Then she was like to me, what if I had been raped? Which is true, what if, right? Still, really didn't matter though, because it wasn't the main reason. But that's the harsh reality. Even if you got raped, unfortunately, you know, Ash, I feel for you, you know, in my heart of hearts, I'm a believer, so my heart cries for you. But at the end of the day, the sympathy card is not gonna make me disregard everything and, you know, take care of that child. Yes, I'm more understanding of the child, more likely to look after the child, right? But I know she wasn't raped. I'm not too sure about that, but I know she wasn't raped. Anyways, what she said, right, when she was still, after I had told her my reasons and she was giving me feedback, she was like, us women with children deserve to be loved, which is 100% true. But the reality of the situation is, yes, you deserve to be loved, but not by me, right? And as much as that may sound bad or whatever, that is the reality of life. And it's like, yeah, no matter how you can put it, I could be like, you know what? As a man, even though I don't have it all together, I deserve a girl, which I know I can get a girlfriend, because a lot of things are not, with girls, it's not always based on real life value, right? But like, it's like, I don't expect me pulling the sympathy card to make things any better. There's a woman, right, at work. She's a patient. She had told Doc that, because I was looking for another job, right? I half-heartedly expressed it. And shout out to Doc, man. He's never been a jealous type on someone. He's like, I'll talk to her because she said there are openings. So then he ended up sliding me her email, and he was like, nah, text her your CV. She said she wants it. I texted her my CV, no reply. I took it like a man. I was like, it is what it is. I'm not going to complain. I'm a realist. She didn't want to reply. She probably, another tweet of mine was, just because someone has an inferior position doesn't make them inferior. And that I got from a book, but it's 100% truth. Because she's doing better than me in life now, doesn't mean she's better than me. But the reality is, with the dynamic, she sees herself better than me. That's why she didn't reply, right? Anyways, she, some time goes by, she drops off gifts for me, right? So she works for a company in which they keep giving her things, right? Incentives, you know how it is with these companies. So she had said that she's gonna bring me things. She did end up bringing the things. I go to emailing her to say thank you, no reply. So I look at life in reality. It's like, okay, you know what? As I just said, life is a reflection. So she doesn't see me as respectable to reply. It is what it is. I could try complain. I could be like, you know what? This is not this is fair. Doesn't matter. There's a lot of girls I have texted. They don't text me back. Life, I could be like, oh, what you're doing is unfair. You're a Christian. It won't change anything. I had dreamt about this girl just yesterday, ne? This girl from my high school. And I wanted to tell her that I dreamt about her. But then I was like, she's just not going to reply. So what's the use? And what can I do? There's nothing I can do about it. There's another girl I had given my number. She still hasn't texted me. And we're friends, nothing. Guys, this is reality. It's like, if people don't see you or don't respect you, nothing you can do, right? So it's like, yeah, it's better to not make excuses and just to upgrade your life. That's why self-improvement, I feel like it's one of a man's best friends. It should be with women, but I can't talk to women. Their whole reality is different. But like, yeah, it's like, this is real life. With everything I've dealt with, it's real life. It's like, yeah, life is a reflection. It's your boy Mduduzi. Hope you enjoyed, found value. I'm out. Peace.